Well, hello out there, planet Earth, and happy Friday. We are close to the halfway point of the summer. I know that because I had visiting day for my kids at camp this past weekend, so great time. Always wonderful to see them. I am still enjoying the summer of Fry here. The kids are partying at camp. We're partying here at home. It's Friday, and it's always Friday with me, Stephen Fry, your SMB guy. ICYMI, or in case you missed it, SMB stands for Small and Medium Sized Business. For the last 20 years, I've been a consultant for SMBs, a voice and a sounding board for business leaders. I advocate wherever I can for these business folks, their employees as well. One thing I feel very strongly about, folks, I love to share stories, provide perspective, and creating connection. That's what I'm all about here. So every single Friday, you could find me on talkradio.nyc doing just that, lending what's left of my mind and my voice to this radio show where I interview business leaders as well as their trusted advisors. One thing that I've noticed over the years, folks, is that some of the best thought leadership for SMBs, it actually happens on Friday, just about that time we feel the freedom of the weekend coming. However, we're also anxious to start the weekend. These crucial pearls of wisdom, they're often forgotten, overlooked, eased aside in favor of our fun activities and our freedom from the office. Here on the show, we like to take advantage of that weekend freedom and clarity, and we discuss popular topics that are on the minds of our business leaders as well as their trusted advisors. Once again, the name of the show, not just a play on words. My last name means free in German, so there's always a little bit of deeper meaning here, no matter how silly it always seems. We're always trying to have fun here, no matter what. Again, the kids are still at camp. Summer's half over for them. They'll be home before I know it. They have a solid 3 weeks before school starts. I have no idea what I'm going to do with them. We do have a couple of trips planned and some entertainment, but they're having an absolute blast. My little one is turning 9 this coming week, and she actually has a boyfriend at camp. I'm not going to say anything about it because we don't know how long these camp relationships are ever going to last, but I will tell you it's a solid 2 weeks now, which is probably the longest camp relationship that's ever been known to happen in history. So Sloane, very, very, very cute and everything. But I've been trying real hard to hit my goal of 20 live music performances this summer. I hit 15 last year, really trying hard to get up to 20. If I fall at 15, I'll be thrilled. Just to get out and go see some live music during the summer is something I'm very, very passionate about. So you guys know how much I love to talk about music, so we'll have some fun with that here today. I got the Blackstone a couple months ago, but it was probably almost a year ago, and I haven't even used it yet. And I keep thinking that during the summer is going to be the time where I mess around with it and really start to experience my creative side of food making and all that. And I haven't done it yet, and I got three more weeks to go until the kids are home. So I really hope I get there and get to experiment a lot. But somebody who I know, who I've gotten to know better and better over the last couple months, they have a blast in the kitchen. This person he's the most passionate, food, fun, family, community type of person I've met in years. So I wanted to share him with you folks today. He's a force to be reckoned with. I'm calling the episode today, Someone's in the Chronic Kitchen. That's his handle for what he likes to consider himself as an anti-social media influencer. But infusing is basically putting one ingredient, for example, herbs, spices, or fruit, in another. For example, water, milk, or alcohol, flavoring the latter with the former. So even when you put a tea bag into hot water, right, you're infusing it. Let's face it, when most people talk about infusing these days, they're talking about something that has traditionally been taboo, but it's far less of a taboo conversation now, and that is integrating cannabis into their meals. Now, this represents the process of and the result of extracting ingredients from the cannabis plant and using it as one of the ingredients in your otherwise normal recipe. The result is a not so normal and potentially fun, euphoric type of feeling. Lots of different ways to do that, not necessarily one right or wrong answer. You just need to know what you're doing. Well, my special guest today not only knows what he's doing, phenomenal chef, great personality, and he's been spending most of his time making amazing content that a lot of you out there might be looking for anyway. You guys got to check it out. He's here with me here today. Talk is cheap. We're not paid by the word over here, right? We're on talkradio.nyc. We don't want this to just be talk. The goal here, once again, is let's use the insight that we get on the business landscape and create some more impact come Monday morning. That's it. It's far too often that the businesses I work with, they're focused on some type of product that's going to solve all of their problems, a magic app, a shiny new mousetrap, whatever it is. One consistent thing I see out there is that the products in any industry I've dealt with, they change every single day in every facet of our lives, whether you're talking personal or business. You got to have the right people around you first. You got to focus on a process of execution that'll help get you to where you want to go. If you do that, the right products will be there, people. They'll present themselves when you need them. You got to start and end with the right people. So I know I have the right people with me here today. We got to hang out in person yesterday because he happens to be from my hometown and my stomping grounds with my family. We are hanging out today with Dominic DeFalco, chef, professor, mad scientist, co-founder of Chronic Kitchen. Chronic Kitchen is his YouTube channel. It's his Instagram handle. It's his TikTok. Chef Dom has spent lots of time in Brooklyn, San Diego, and again, my stomping grounds of Manalapan, New Jersey. He has been on the Netflix series Sugar Rush. Don't know if you guys caught that one. I didn't, but I'm looking forward to hearing about it. It was a baking competition reality show that took place between 2018 and 2020. He has appeared in the New York Times, Forbes UK, BuzzFeed, and the Home Shopping Network to exhibit some of his culinary related works of art. He has been an infused chef for 9 years. He has been an entrepreneur. He's the original creator of the Woo Home Baking Kit, which he'll tell us about today. He's a former touring comedian that has done shows on Broadway, as well as the Improv in Irvine. If you watch his videos, he is hilarious, very talented, silly at times, just a phenomenal human being for me to hang out with. There are a few people I've met that are more passionate about food, fun, and I was trying to think of another F. I was going to say a fantastic buzz, but family and community and that type of feeling, he fits right in there like a glove. He joined my softball league this year and already one of the most beloved guys in the league, joining me from his home base in my hometown of Manalapan, New Jersey, one of my favorite personalities that I've met in the last couple of years. Again, chef, professor, mad scientist, all rolled into one, no pun intended. Chef Dom, welcome to Always Friday, brother. So excited you're here.
Steve, what an intro. You burned me with your 9-year-old because she's dating someone and I'm not. That was a really slick fucking burn,
I
right?
said she's dating someone, not everyone, Dom. Let's focus on the story. You're having a good summer, all right? You're very talented, you are. Not only recruiting followers, but recruiting followers. You know what I mean? So, Dom, getting to know you this year has been a lot of fun, and I know we're just getting started. And I have to thank you for taking some pressure off of me to be the resident fun guy at the ball fields. That's very much appreciated. You have awesome stories to tell, and most people, especially in this virtual world I hang out in, they know how much I like a good story. So we want to hear yours. Let's talk to the audience about your journey, how you got where you are today. Please share.
Wow. Okay. I guess my journey is to become probably, I try to be a leading authority on advocacy and education for cannabis. And that started probably a little bit over a decade ago. I used to be well over 100 pounds heavier, have a bunch of health issues, on a lot of prescription medications, really having a tough time with life and like mentally, physically, emotionally, trying to figure out where I fit in, which is, I think, high anxiety, high capability, a lot of aptitude, but, nowhere to put it, like low self-belief and lack of confidence, all that fun stuff. And it really just came, I tore my ACL and I was, well over 300 pounds and I was pretty miserable. Was worried about having to take prescription medication, which, I've had trouble with in my past with the amount of surgeries I've had. And, weed, I think a lot of people believe that like I haven't been like a stoner my whole life. I really didn't do it much in high school. And I didn't really start using cannabis daily and effectively until I was like 27, 28. So I guess late bloomer, but
No pun intended.
um, I was, I was trying anything to kind of get, um, off of all the medications I was on to not feel as sick as I was feeling. And I was living in San Diego at the time, and someone's family that I was living with, she was diagnosed with breast cancer for the third time. She came out of remission. And I just started baking stuff for her. And it started being really helpful. She started telling her friends when she would go for chemo or when she would be in her, like, they would do like support groups and stuff. And I started baking stuff that my grandma taught me how to make, my grandpa taught me how to make. And I just started putting, weed in all of it. And my grandma never wanted me to become a chef. And I love my grandma so much. She's just, hot. You're in the kitchen, long hours, don't make a lot of money, all the things that, she wanted something better for me. But, she essentially, her and my grandfather and my mother, they just taught me, kind of like the base weapon for how I help people today, which is cooking and baking and infusing. And I'm a big nerd, so the chemical process is fun for me. Gardening, I love, get my feet in the ground. I've just taken a much more holistic approach to life and started to really start to believe in myself. A lot of mental clarity that I never had before, a lot of confidence that I didn't think I deserved. I was always funny. You're 330 pounds, you have to do things to, make people like people don't love big people all the time. So it's like you have to be funny or they expect you to be funny or got to be able to hold someone's attention. Everything is a little bit harder. I lost, so much weight. I started a couple businesses and failure, success, whatever it is. Now today I get to do what I really love and help. I ate mushrooms with an 81-year-old woman that has terminal cancer. And it's like, I'd have never thought, when I was, serving lawsuits or getting on stage that one day I would be using these plants that everyone my whole childhood said was going to ruin my life to help so many people that have been marginalized or have been forgotten about and just become like a prescription medication payment in the cog of the medicine machine.
So I told you before that Logan the engineer is one of the most interactive, fun engineers, the most, not one of the most that I've had along the way. And he wrote in the chat, "Hey, big people have more to love. Nobody wants to cuddle a twig."
That's true.
Logan, you know why that's funny is I saw this meme this morning that talks about all the generational ways that people answer the question, "Am I fat?" And it was good for a laugh with me and Dom anyway. But Dom, like me, he definitely believes a lot, and it's not what you say, it's how you say it, and it's the impact that you leave, and it's the story that you tell. And Dom has gotten into much better shape than he was, previously. But we're talking about it yesterday while we were hanging out, and he's just like, "Yeah, you know what? Nobody trusts a skinny chef." I love that. It's so true.
Yeah, there's a minimum barrier, like there's a weight entry for a chef, but then there's also too much. You know what I mean? Like no one
Yes.
wants to sit next to me on a plane when I'm that heavy. They just, you walk down the aisle of a plane, people pray that you don't have the seat next to them. So it's like a nice happy medium.
And when you start knocking stuff on the floor in the kitchen with the gut, it might be an issue. But but Logan says there's exactly one skinny chef I trust, and it's Gordon Ramsay.
Gordon Ramsay,
So,
yeah.
Totally right there with you.
That's
Understand?
because he's angry. He's British and angry,
It's
which are
British
my
and
two.
angry, right?
Yeah, they make me feel inadequate and horny. Those are my two favorite emotions. So like that, I like a skinny British chef.
We got to take a quick break, but we will be right back with Chef Dominic DeFalco. He is the co-founder of Chronic Kitchen. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. You can find him everywhere. Stay with us, people.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Brancu, host of The Hard Skills on talkradio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a business owner? Do you want to be a business owner? Do you work with business owners? Hi, I'm Stephen Fry, your small and medium-sized business or SMB guy, and I'm the host of the new show, Always Friday. While I love to have fun on my show, we take those Friday feelings of freedom and clarity to discuss popular topics on the minds of SMBs today. Please join me and my various special guests on Friday at 11 a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, everybody. It's Friday. It's always Friday. And it's me, Stephen Fry, your SMB guy. I am chatting with my buddy, my pal, it's Chef Dominic DeFalco. He is the co-founder of Chronic Kitchen. Before we get into the method behind Chef Dom's madness, Dom, I told you I like to sit out by the fire pit just for a moment and give a quick perspective on the topic at hand, what we're chatting about today. This whole thing with the cannabis movement, if you will, not as taboo of a conversation as it used to be. It's on a lot of people's minds. In the state of New Jersey, it is legal for recreational purposes. I have friends who've opened dispensaries as of late. It seems to be a topic that's on many people's minds. Tough to navigate in the business world sometimes. It is not federally legal yet, so there can be challenges with money and banking and lots of things associated with the industry, but it is something that's becoming a lot less taboo than it used to be. When I lived in New York City, there were a few neighborhoods where you would get guaranteed you walk down this street, that street, you'd smell somebody experimenting on the city streets. Nowadays, you pretty much walk out of the Port Authority or Penn Station and you hear and smell lots of people experimenting around the city. But lots of people are looking for ways to be creative with their chronic, and the kitchen is a fun place for experimentation, right? Being in the kitchen with Dom, so to speak, which Dom, I'd love to do some type of live feed from the kitchen at some point. So we'll talk about that, down the road. But I keep looking forward to seeing what gets cooked up next, right? So I wanted to just let you guys know that since Dom lives in my hometown, we did get together yesterday for some of the pre-show kickoff and preparation, and we had a blast. Before I come over, I asked Dom, I was like, listen, you want me to bring anything over? And he asked if I could grab some THC seltzers from the liquor store. And I didn't even know that was something I could do at this point. I've seen plenty of these products. You can get them from dispensaries, you get them from doctors' offices, but nowadays it's becoming a presence at the liquor store. So I go in and I'm having a ball asking the liquor store guy questions about this because this is kind of a new thing to me, right? So the liquor store folks said it started out as one corner of the shelf, and some of the products that we even got for yesterday to hang out. But it became very quickly, seemingly overnight, an entire aisle of the liquor store. And there's no joke. This is the actual aisle from the liquor store, and the whole thing is THC-infused seltzers and products and all that. So, Chef Dom, the freight train has blatantly left the station. This is something that is on people's minds. It's in people's retail excursions on a daily basis. It's in the content that's being blasted around YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, thanks to you very largely. So Dom, this is the method part of the show where we talk about the science behind what you do. Give us a little bit of the methodology, what exactly are you doing, how are you doing it, and how are you going to market for it as it relates to Chronic Kitchen? Lay it on us, baby.
All right. I'll start with the methodology of human biology first, if that's okay.
Sure. Why not?
So in like the late 1800s, cannabis was probably the most sold medicinal plant in the United States. It wasn't until Big Pharma and John Rockefeller got into our education system and the monetization of disease did they realize that this incredibly broad, like this broad spectrum plant with barely any side effects or negative side effects, could help so many people all the time. They needed to get rid of it. That's why I don't like using the word marijuana, because marijuana is a prohibition word. It was used to scare children and parents about what cannabis actually is. Um, and we have in the 1980s, they started to do, they started to notice that cancer patients or people that were very sick, they would say that cannabis would help them out a lot. So they started to study why. And what they found was we have this system, and they named it after cannabis. It's called the endocannabinoid system. You have, nervous, your nervous system, circulatory. You have five major systems in your body that help regulate your homeostasis, and the endocannabinoid system regulates all of them. So they're essentially like everything in your body is like a busy freeway, and the cannabinoid system are like the lights and traffic signs. So you can, with the use of cannabis in the right way, upregulate and downregulate things like anxiety, pain, mood. Um, it has so many effects because this one system, like, basically rules them all. So cannabis itself is incredibly helpful. And then you have the CBD side of it for people that don't like the psychoactive effects. So you have many different avenues to kind of treat wellness. And as you know, the past 5, 6 years, it's been legal medicinally for people that are very ill. And now, as it becomes legal for everybody, they can put it in drinks and have a good time with it. I say this all the time, like drinking is, I had a few adult beverages on Sunday. I had the team over for a barbecue. I was doing some shots by the bar with Meyer and Sailor and all these guys. And I'll drink every once in a while. I don't like to, make it a habit, but alcohol is a depressant. It is a neurotoxin, and people that are drinking more than 3 times a week are actually, putting poison all throughout their brain, heart, and liver. So Big Pharma threw me right out of the chat, huh?
I was going to say, did we just get silenced?
I'm used to it now. But cannabis is, it's, you can have a good time. You don't have to worry about a hangover. You don't have to worry about damaging your liver. You don't have to worry about damaging your kidneys. Um, you just, it is the safer, softer way to enjoy your Friday, Saturday night, even though people don't, believe that yet. There's just been so much negative stigma around cannabis. And that's really my, I spend a lot of time making stuff for the terminally ill, and most of them are age 50 and above. And the scary thing is if you live in the United States, you have a 42% chance of getting cancer in your lifetime. So if
Yep.
you think about it, if you're in a family of five, 2 people are going to have cancer. And when you get cancer, you're going to want to know a good doctor, you're going to want to have good insurance, and you're going to want to know someone like me. And there's only so much of me to go around. Sorry, ladies. But through my channel, what I find is it's like, let's just say my friend's mom gets a bad diagnosis. I'll come over there, I'll talk to them, I'll tell them what to expect, how to expect it, how to dose yourself. And there's just a lot of human biology and information that has to be given out that isn't given out by doctors and the medical system. And listen, if you break your arm or if you get cancer or whatever, you need to go see a doctor. But when it comes to like general well-being and supplementing the prescription medications that you're on, like natural has worked for such a long time. You can find photos that are like drawings that are 5,000 years old of, in ancient China, of people like curing hemp plants. Like, we've been using cannabis for medicine for 5,000 years, and we've stopped in the past 80. And this is the sickest generation to have ever lived on this earth. So
Yeah.
my whole methodology is, well, all these big companies, like, whether it's Amazon, Walmart, or all these big corporations do whatever the fuck they want to us as a people. The same thing is going to happen with cannabis. They're going to give big pharma time to figure out how to make all the money. They're going to give big corporations time to figure out how they're going to make the money. And what they're really only doing is basically like they're scratching an itch, but in the wrong place. A lot
Hmm.
of the edibles that you can buy, a lot of the drinks you can buy, they're made with oils and extracts and distillates that don't actually have any medicinal properties. They'll just have the psychoactive effects.
Right. For sure.
So I can't talk to everybody's parents, and it's hard to reach everyone's parents. They're not on YouTube and TikTok and whatever. So the general plan was, we're going to have a cookbook coming out next year. It's going to be a cookbook, I say, because there will be some recipes, but it's really going to dig in on the medicinal properties of THC, the what the government and what the lobbyists have done to make you fear it, and
Yeah.
how it can be used in whether you have rheumatoid arthritis, insomnia, depression, PTSD, whatever it is. There's going to be a chapter in this book for you to learn what you need to use, how you need to dose, how you can make it yourself. What I find, like,
Yeah.
there are things like lavender, lemon, things mix well with the cannabis based on what you might have. So if you have MS, it's going to be something that has like limonene, which is lemon, or tangerine, like citrus in it, because it'll get into your skin, get into your bloodstream, it'll help with those tremor pains. So this is not information, like very few doctors will advocate for it. Very few doctors will even admit that there is a medicinal use to it. And
Yep.
now that they have no choice because things are becoming legal, they're all kind of like, all right, I guess. So my kind of goal is to advocate and educate and to look like say,
Yes.
hey, I'm not, I'm not living in the streets. I'm not homeless. I'm not 350 pounds anymore. Like my life is wonderful. I use cannabis to help myself, and I use cannabis to help people I love and care about and their loved ones. And it's
Hmm.
not such a scary thing.
Well, Logan says he's allergic to lavender, but I know my wife just tried her first lavender gelato and she loved it. Three quick things before we go to break. Number one, not only, Dom, have you been just a fun, passionate, awesome presence around the softball field, like the players who've been in some for 5, 10, 20 years, they're already feeling the effects of you being local and being somebody who, whatever you want to call it, chef, professor, mad scientist. Again, I consider a nice roll up of all three, but helping out folks who are terminally ill, like enjoy their last days, and that's always been something big for me with this entire topic. Number two, I've been trying to hit a lot of live music while the kids are gone, right? So me, my wife, my buddy Adam, who was on the show a couple months ago, we've been having some fun. And while we go order the big beers or the spiked iced teas or whatever it is, I'm wondering if by the end of the summer I'm going to see THC infused seltzers at the entertainment venues. It's definitely possible. But the third thing is, as it relates to your channel and what you're doing, we talked a little bit about your methodology, and I'm not necessarily going to give away, any of your secret sauce per se, a secret infused sauce, that is.
Got to go to
But
YouTube to watch it,
yeah, you go to YouTube and watch it. But even starting a podcast or a radio show, right? Like when I first started doing this, going on 4 years ago, I put together a planner and a format and everything for it. You with your partners and your buddies that you're doing this with, just having the discipline, which a lot of this is discipline, doing something well and doing it consistently. And you started within a year. It wasn't even all that long ago. It's like you started doing this, and it's like you have a formula. It's like every 6 weeks we meet for 4 straight days and we crank out a whole bunch of stuff, and then we take a break. And then 6 weeks later, we meet 2 consecutive weekends in a row. And it's great. Like, so, a lot of times this stuff is for a group of people who are building up, your side hustle, whatever you want to call it. Let's face it, half the population out there has some type of side hustle or consulting endeavor that they're doing. And I applaud you for not only having the passion and the skill and the experience that you do, but being disciplined about how you want to generate the content and getting it out there, and really starting to build the audience, the following, and creating a movement. I interviewed a guest months ago that she really talked about creating a movement, how in the beginning you might be seen as the Lone Ranger and kind of crazy and everything. And then the more people that jump onto the movement, you're starting a movement. You're creating, it's a force to be reckoned with. It's like bodies in motion tend to stay in motion, and they do.
You find
So,
your tribe, and it could be a shitty tribe if you're putting shitty things out there, and it could be a really good one. And this tribe that I have, like it's it goes all the way through terminal illness, chronic illness, mental illness. If you've maybe fallen asleep at a sorority party and woke up with more clothes on, like any sort of pain or stress or anxiety or overthinking, like trauma, whatever it is, like there's a way that you can make it better, and it doesn't have to be in the form of a chemically dependent pill or substance. Like there are ways that you can find better. I sent you a before and after photo of me. Like
Yep.
if you look at me at 330 plus pounds, like it looks like a different human being. Like my eyes don't look like that, like I'm alive. I look like
Yep.
I'm balding. Like there is a healthier way to go, and that's with me within under the care of doctors and on prescription medication and steroids. And it's just, there's a better way, there's a less scary way, and there's a way that you can do it, even if it's hard to see a doctor. You know why it's hard to see a doctor is because every hospital you drive by is 100 million for-profit business, and they buy out all the local doctors in your neighborhood, because the less you see a general practitioner, the less you stay on top of your health, the more likely it is you will go to the hospital for something catastrophic. And they use the money that they make off of curing your illness to buy the doctors out of business so you can't go to them. And that's why
We can make a whole other show just about that, and we just might. That might be from the kitchen at some point, but we got to take this break. By the way, it might be too many THC seltzers that also forces your eyes closed. Just FYI. But we got to take a break. We'll be right back with Chef Dom. He's the co-founder of Chronic Kitchen, baby. Stay with us.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host a program, Philanthropy in Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
Were you an essential worker during the pandemic? If you needed to learn stages of epilepsy, did you depend on advocates? Did you use new innovations to cope with mental and neurological issues? Maintaining high quality of life and keeping good mental health are what we all strive for. I'm Frank R. Harrison, host of Frank About Health, and each week top healthcare influencers, professionals, and innovators answer these questions and more. Stay tuned on Thursdays at 5 p.m. on talkradio.nyc, and I will continue to be frank about health with all of you.
Are you a business owner? Do you want to be a business owner? Do you work with business owners? Hi, I'm Stephen Fry, your small and medium-sized business or SMB guy, and I'm the host of the new show, Always Friday. While I love to have fun on my show, we take those Friday feelings of freedom and clarity to discuss popular topics on the minds of SMBs today. Please join me and my various special guests on Friday at 11 a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Welcome back to Always Friday with me, Stephen Fry, your SMB guy. We are chatting with Chef Dominic DeFalco. He's the co-founder of Chronic Kitchen, taking YouTube, Instagram, TikTok by storm. He likes to call himself the anti-social media influencer, which I think is hilarious. But yeah, this guy's the man. He came into my softball league this year by storm. I was told by multiple people I had to meet him. He was told by multiple people he had to meet me. That's just how it goes sometimes, and that's how something beautiful gets born. So Dom, this is the madness part of the show. This tends to be my favorite time of discussion because the madness part is really all about us sharing the stories from the field that you have, which I know you have many, right? So I always say to people, no subject too taboo. And it's funny because this subject is one that traditionally growing up has been taboo and just straight up kind of isn't anymore, right? Again, it was one corner of the aisle at the liquor store right by our houses, and now it's an entire aisle of the liquor store by our houses. It's THC infused seltzers. But the madness part, the observations you have from the field, the stories you have from the field, no subject to taboo, anything goes. I know you have a lot of them, Dom. Tell us a couple of stories you have from the field, health related, shooting content related, sugar rush related from Netflix. I'm not a big star fucker, by the way. I'm not just hanging with you because you had a little stint on a Netflix show at some point. I think you're awesome.
Don't worry. I thought more people would be, but they're not. I have I guess I do have a lot of good stories. It's fun. I've done a lot of psychedelics with a lot of older people, and I've heard their fun stories. That is a joy.
So we could even start there for a minute, right? Like, so let me just throw this out there. I have seen a ton of people over the last couple of years, especially, that who are, maybe they have an alcohol problem. I always go the Homer Simpson route: alcohol, the cause of and solution to all of life's problems. Right. But some people are trying to stop drinking or cut down on drinking, and I've seen people using microdosing, like going in the psychedelics route for that. And sometimes I can be an all or nothing type of personality. So if I'm trying to not drink, I don't know if eating psychedelics is necessarily the best thing for somebody like me. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it's something to try. But you look at things like these THC seltzers and things that I brought over to the house yesterday while we were hanging out, talking about show stuff and talking about life. And I could easily see people sitting and enjoying a drink and not drinking alcohol and not waking up hungover and all of that. And that could easily be a normal way of life moving forward, as a lot of things that you're doing and talking about have become kind of normal ways of life where you might not have been able to openly talk about them not too long ago. So there's got to be some weirdness there for you, man.
After I lost all the weight and stuff, and my mom, I was baking a ton of edibles. My mom ate one, and her and my dad just like slept on the couch and watched like Marvel movies. And it was like my mom, it almost like she felt guilty. She was like, wow, I woke up, I was rested, I felt so good, I didn't have a hangover. And I'm like, yeah, this is these are all the things I've been trying to say. But yeah, that's people almost feel guilty about it, especially there's such a stigma to it. And so that's the kind of the goal is to kind of get rid of that. But I will say, I'll tell a quick story about my experience about mushrooms. And I say with complete honesty that if like someone had to take away psilocybin or cannabis from me, I would let them take cannabis away from me, which is a crazy thing to say.
Bold statement, baby.
Yeah. And as someone that has like had, when I say like severe mental health issues, I had severe mental health issues. And the therapist I met that I still have today, his name's Dr. Wolf. I love him dearly. He, saved my life in a lot of ways. And one of the ways was kind of empowering me to, antidepressants and all these antipsychotics. They really took away the part of my brain that I love the most.
The one that makes you, you. Yeah, I could totally feel that.
And it didn't make me as happy. Like if I was like the guy in the Zoloft commercial smiling in the rain, then great. But I wasn't.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, what do we have to do? We have to exercise. We have to eat right. We have to get sunlight. We have to get water. We have to get our feet in the ground. We have to use healthy plants. And I got introduced to psilocybin because I was reading and watching a bunch of stuff by a brilliant man named Matthew Johnson. He's over at Johns Hopkins. He's probably the foremost leader on psilocybin and making that legal. And I know a lot of people do ketamine and stuff like that, but I try to keep more to the plant family. But I will say there is a math equation based on body weight and amount that you should be doing. I do not believe in eating a fistful of mushrooms and then go talking about how an octopus is just a sea spider. Like I don't need to go into any sort of that. I don't need that. What I do is I take like a normal dose for someone is about 3.5 grams. And I take maybe 1/13 of that based on my body weight. And I did it for a week, 4 days on, 3 days off. And in the second week, somewhere right, like around day 2 or 3, and a lot of people get nervous, but like you don't feel it. It feels like you just got off an elevator the first 2 days, like that equilibrium feeling for like 3 seconds and it's gone. You could drive, go to the gym, go to work, live your life. I was in the grocery store. It was like the height of the pandemic. And I had baking kits that I needed to get out, and Cisco Foods and all these companies. They stopped delivering. People kept ordering from us, so we still had to do them. I was under an incredible amount of stress because nobody was working, so I was doing everything mostly alone. And I remember going into the grocery store as an immunocompromised person in the middle of a global pandemic, wondering if like this is, if this is too dangerous for me. And it was a lot of worry. And then around week 2 of the microdose, I just remember I was like looking at Pop Tarts, and I wasn't thinking about like the time I called my 5th grade teacher mom in front of everyone. I wasn't thinking about last week. I wasn't thinking about next month. I wasn't thinking about what an inherent fail. I wasn't thinking about anything but like, oh my God, they make a strawberry sundae Pop Tart. Like, I'd love to get fucking stoned and eat this at 1 a.m. And it was like maybe the first time in my adult life I could remember being right here. And then I call my therapist and I'm like crying now and Stop and Shop in front of all the Pop Tarts. And I realize now I'm making a scene because people are like, why is this guy crying in front of the Pop Tarts? But it was like a level of freedom that I don't think maybe since I'm a child, that I can remember having. And the same exact thing that does for people like me or people that are terminally ill, it allows them to separate from whatever it is. Like, you are not your cancer, or if someone that has trouble with cigarettes or alcohol, it's easy to take a dose and say to yourself, like, I'm not a drinker, I'm not a smoker. And because it's such an extrospective and introspective plant.
Yep.
It's the basis of all life on Earth. We are all evolved from fungi. So it is, neuroplasticity is something that they say we can never get, but through mushrooms and psilocybin, you can actually rewire the way you think and the habits that you have. And it's a miracle plant.
My cardiologist told me just the other day that he wants me to stick to a more plant-based diet. So here we go. Let's do it.
Baby. Cannabis and psilocybin.
Yeah, I got to throw this out there. You just hanging with you, right? Like, I sometimes forget how awesome you are at making these treats. And we went to one of the barbecues for the softball league, and I had already, I got there from some earlier meetings that I had, and hanging out with some of my referral sources and prospective clients and everything. And I get to the softball league barbecue, and I see my buddy Chef Dom there, and we're hanging, we're talking. He goes, "Yo, have you tried my dessert? Have you tried the bread pudding?" And I'm like, "No, where's the bread pudding?" So I go try a piece of the bread pudding. I'm like, this is delicious. This is amazing. And then I was sitting there telling some type of story. And while I was talking, I kept eating the bread pudding and totally didn't notice that I was eating it. And yes, Chef Dom did throw a couple extra treats in there. And the next day I had tickets to 2 different shows. And yeah, I didn't make it to either one of those. So I do have to keep my wits about me just enough to make it to the show that I'm going to see for the summer. But I am going to attribute that loss to you, that I didn't see live music that night. So we might have to go check out some live music together to make up for that.
High enough to see live music in your mind. I'll let you count it. I won't tell anybody.
We got to take a quick break. We'll be right back with the man, the myth, the legend, the newcomer to Marlboro Softball League, but not a newcomer to the infused world of edibles. Chef Dominic DeFalco, he's the co-founder of Chronic Kitchen. Stay with us, people. One more segment to go.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Broncu, host of The Hard Skills on talkradio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host a program, Philanthropy in Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Welcome back to Always Friday with me, Stephen Fry, your SMB guy. We are chatting with my buddy, Chef Dom DeFalco. He's the co-founder of Chronic Kitchen. Chef Dom, at Logan's request, and I probably should have put it up there anyway, I put up the before and after picture of you for those of us watching out there in TV land. So, yeah, it kind of looks like a totally different person. Not going to lie to you. You're definitely called it the right way.
It's fucking crazy, right?
It's crazy. But, Logan the engineer throws in the chat. He goes, honestly, THC Pop Tarts, top parts, right? THC Pop Tarts sound like one heck of a midnight snack. Just infuse the chocolate chip pancake Pop Tarts with THC and watch him sleep like a baby.
Could be done, baby. I got some pastry dough in the fridge. I'm ready for it.
I have seen that pastry dough in action, and it does solve a lot of problems. That's for sure. But Chef Dom, this is the message part of the show. When I started doing this 4 years ago, the whole idea was from Weekend Insight to Monday Impact. There's no doubt you've given us some insightful little tidbits here, and I got to throw it out there again. Something that's typically a taboo conversation is not really taboo anymore. There have been certain parties around the globe for many years that have experimented with the medical benefits, advantages of cannabis on terminal illnesses, on healing and accelerated healing for military personnel and things like that. There's just so much good behind it that has definitely been overshadowed by some other stories in and around our country for sure. But Dom, the whole idea here, we want you to get some sound bites out there, and obviously we want people to subscribe to Chronic Kitchen. They'd be crazy not to if any part of this conversation hasn't struck their fancy. It's just a blast watching you do what you do in the kitchen and throwing the cannabis education and science out there. But don't be shy is the biggest message I could throw to people out there. Don't be shy. Ask the questions. Pursue your passion. Experiment once in a while. I mean, kind of like you said, if you don't label yourself a drinker, a smoker, or whatever, well, everybody's got to eat. Anybody I know, once they really sacrifice eating, they're pretty much checking into a cemetery. So, as far as whether you're terminally ill or you need to recover from something, like there's any number of reasons where it might, make sense to grab something from the Chronic Kitchen, to have something that's infused. Besides the fact that Chef Dom makes delicious everything, there might be some other types of medicinal, psychoactive, whatever it is, fun, relief, euphoria that comes along with it. So Dom, drop some sound bites on us. Let the audience know what's on your mind, call to action, and we'll wrap it up with some fun here.
Cool. Yeah. So I would say that there is a THC product for everybody, whether you have an ailment, an illness, or if you want just a little bit more wellness. There is a reason why this entire system in our body is named after cannabis. It's because, we have receptors in our feet to receive it. And, you could subscribe to the idea that we are evolved from the primates that ate mushrooms and ate cannabis right off the stalk and the plant. And that's why our brain developed. But we have all these receptors in our stomach, which is our second brain, and our feet. like cannabis, it takes about 7 seconds once you get it into your body for it to start to affect your, I won't get into like CB1 receptors, CB2 receptors, and anandamide and all these like enzymes, but um, it's great for like it's a fat based plant. It's going to get into your fat in your body and your food, and it's going to spread around really evenly. And we have the amygdala, the prefrontal cortex, all these things that are designed for anxiety and to find trouble. We have these evolutionary systems in our brain that are made for anxiety because there's a healthy amount. The problem is we don't really live in the jungle anymore. We live in nice, calm environments. We know where we're getting our food, our water, all of these things. So that part of our brain never stops working. So there are benefits for it, even if you're not sick, for your body. And, indica is great if you want to go to sleep. Sativa is great if you want to be a little bit creative and kind of get the juices flowing. You might be a part of the 25-30% of people that don't handle it well, and that's okay too. That's something, there's no way to know. I wish I can tell you that, if you were a Capricorn born in late October and you were over 6 feet, that you can't have cannabis, but the only way to know is to try. And I say the same thing about mushrooms, is like, best way to do it is to just microdose. And it's really the same for business. Like what I've learned throughout the years is like the only precursor to success is failure, and the only precursor to failure is effort. And if you kind of understand that you need to have effort to fail and you need to fail to succeed, you have like, it's just consistency, reliability, and just your want to do it. And that's the drive that you have, the passion that you have. This is what we're doing. I've been saying this for years and years. Everybody's going to be using cannabis. There will be a day where people need to come to someone for information, for anecdotal experience, for knowledge that's been long left out of our textbooks and our common culture. And, between water and oxygen and ozone, I think the most precious non-renewable resource that we lose is knowledge and information, because we kind of subsidize everything into our phone, into the internet, and people control that. And the wisdom from years and years of healing and eating and surviving, they're going away. And so there's this little corner of the world that I like to bring it back to, and kind of do what I can for the people that I care about. And so yeah, get over Chronic Kitchen. I'll make you laugh. And while you're laughing, your mouth will be open for some food for thought. And like, I'll make great recipes. You can make them without the cannabis. But really, really, we just want to kind of reach out and kind of get to all the people that need to hear from us. And in order to find those people, we need support from people that just like to laugh, just like recipes, just like looking at food porn. Like there's a plethora of everything for you. And we'll attack the establishment. We'll give you some cool health tips. We'll give you some really great cooking tips. Hopefully you find me easy to listen to. They call me Velvet Thunder. They say I have a really soothing voice. People like to listen to me to go to sleep.
Velvet Jones and making the velvet chicken.
There we go, baby. That's it. The chicken velouté. But yeah, so I have just a lot of information, a lot of knowledge that I want to get into the hands of, like I said, 4 out of 10 people in the United States are going to get cancer. And you probably know people that have it. You might have a family member that has it. You might have it. And just like a simple like or subscribe or a little bit of interaction on a video, it goes, so far into helping us. And we're going to start a live show, much like this very soon, where I have people that I've baked for and I've cooked for, and other doctors that have actually been helped a lot by cannabis. So you can actually see, the good that it's doing.
It's not just food for thought. It is food for devouring too. I'll tell you that straight up from personal experience last night. Not infused. It's all good. And that lost art of knowledge and education and even reading and writing a handwritten letter. One of many reasons why I like my kids being at camp. They don't have the phones. They don't have the iPads. They have to interact with each other. They have to go play in the dirt for 7 weeks. Definitely a lost art and something important. Also loved your point about success. Precursor to that is failure. Precursor to failure is effort. You can't fail or succeed if you don't try. So you got to try it. Before I let you go for the day, Dom, I got to share the answers to the questions because they're too good to not share with everybody. So as I told you and many others out there, I ask everyone I've ever interviewed, who's your favorite movie or TV show character? What's your favorite movie or TV show? What's your favorite musical instrument? And who's the artist you'd like to hear play it? So your first response, who's your favorite movie or TV show character? You said Michael Scott from The Office, which is a fairly popular answer. And I loved your description. You said Michael Scott, type of character that would find a frog in his backyard, say he's going to take care of it, release it into the wild, and then squeeze the life out of it when picking it up and throw it in the woods. And I almost peed my pants when you said that because I have a cousin that fits that exact description.
Fuck.
And it was so funny. But then you gave me one that I haven't heard that often. I could totally see why you like this character. You said Rubeus Hagrid from the Harry Potter movies. And whether you're a little bit of a geek or not, I love this answer because Hagrid is the care of magical creatures professor. A loyal, friendly, soft-hearted guy, easily brought to tears, not afraid to spend time in the forest with his friends or next to his pool while cooking up food in Chronic. I think that's great, right?
And a bunch of animals for sure.
And a bunch of animals, exactly. I'll bring the dog over next time.
Sweet.
See if we can get him to run around. The deer might scare him a little.
Time.
When I said, what's your favorite movie or TV show? You gave me two. You said Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which I told you when we talked about it. Every time I've watched it, I was laughing my ass off and still haven't gotten into it somehow. So I should probably make some time for it while the kids are away.
Amazing.
But it's about 5 friends with big egos and small brains, right? And that's definitely a good
part of me is that,
definitely a good genesis for discussion, right?
Sorry, Evan. Yeah.
And then we go to the Larry David side of things. We go to Curb Your Enthusiasm, which, you said that you always get thought of as the George Costanza character, and that's Larry David in a nutshell. But is it seriously? You get looked at that way by everybody? I feel like that can be such a downer sometimes, but it's obviously hilarious.
Yeah, no, it's the Larry David is the more refined version than the Costanza. But when I was as a kid, I was very George Costanza-esque. Just pretending to have a job, pretending to be handicapped, to have a private bathroom, like making trades for the Yankees, even though he's never worked in baseball, like that. Bullshit my way in and out of anything and everything until it just hits me in the face.
Vandalay Industries got it. Excuse me. When I asked you about the musical instrument and the artist you'd like to hear play it, your first response was Beethoven, which I thought you made a great Beethoven as far as the way that you present this Beethoven. It's great. And then you said Freddie Mercury. So Freddie Mercury, top-notch performer, has been gone for 33 years now, but definitely not forgotten. Then right after you told me that, we got into a discussion about some of your body artwork. And not only do you have a Freddie Mercury tattoo, but you have a Pink Floyd tattoo, a Beatles tattoo, a Bob Marley tattoo, a Jim Morrison tattoo, and a David Bowie tattoo.
Yeah.
So people, I think it's safe to say that Chef Dom digs good tunes in addition to stellar food and a groovy buzz. So you want to go check out some music. You want to do it with the right frame of mind. Chef Dom, Chronic Kitchen. Subscribe, like, follow, laugh your ass off at everything. Terrific.
Please and thank you.
Dom, thank you so much for joining me here today. I know we've been talking about doing this for a while, but I hope it was the blast that you envisioned. I know it was for me.
What a pleasure. I'll be back. You'll come on my show next.
Oh, hell yeah. I will be there. So speaking of shows, coming up next, I'm traveling for a few weeks in August. So I'm going to take a break before the new school year and before the actual 4th year of doing the show. We have some exciting guests and some crazy topics coming up in the fall. So definitely come hang with us, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, Fridays, right here on talkradio.nyc. That's the time. That's the place. First Friday after Labor Day is when we're going to start up some new episodes. Until then, folks, thank you for joining us on Always Friday. We hope you gain some weekend insight to make that Monday impact. Have a great weekend, and I will see you with new episodes right after Labor Day. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks, Steve.